Knutsford has many charms. It is an historic market town with many distinctive buildings, independent shops and restaurants, and wide green spaces, surrounded by countryside, yet close to Manchester, its airport, the M6 and the Manchester to Chester railway line. Although Knutsford has not been nearly as badly affected as many towns by the economic downturns of recent years, business confidence is not high. Many shops feel squeezed by costs and competition from online internet sales. All round Britain, towns are having to rethink the look and feel of their town centres, and some have already embarked on ambitious regeneration projects. Things are changing rapidly, and no high street can be complacent. Against this background, Knutsford Town Council, supported by many volunteers, has prepared a formal neighbourhood plan. This was approved by public vote in March 2019. Included in the neighbourhood plan is the intention to evolve a master plan for the town centre, an overarching strategy for developments aimed at keeping Knutsford lively, attractive and prosperous. The Town Council, therefore, appointed a town centre working group to consider in detail how Knutsford might be improved and made resilient for the future. The working group soon came to the view that it is first necessary to deal with the two very apparent downsides to Knutsford: too much traffic and too few parking places. For over 10 years, local residents and visitors have complained about the continual dominance of vehicles over pedestrians in King and Princess Streets. The pavements here are narrow, in some places barely a foot wide. It is not possible to stop and talk to friends or window shop without blocking the footpath. It is particularly difficult for people with wheelchairs or buggies, and crossing the road can be a hazard. In future, the successful, sustainable towns will be those which put people, not cars, at the centre of things. This presentation describes the working group's proposed approach to resolving our twin troubles of traffic flow and car parking. At present, we can state only the broad concept. The details will need to be worked out in consultation with the highways and parking specialists at Cheshire East Council, and each proposed change would be subject to public consultation. Nevertheless, Knutsford Town Council consider it a feasible and reasonable scheme for rebalancing the tension between vehicles and pedestrians. Each development should bring a better experience for shoppers, diners and visitors to the benefit of local businesses and residents. The proposals cover three main issues: through traffic in top and bottom streets, the shortage of public car parking bays at busy times of the day, and too many vehicles parked in top and bottom streets. These are challenging problems, and probably there is no ideal solution. There are many constraints. For instance, the town is cut in two by the A50. This puts the library and booth side of town at a psychological distance from Princess and King Streets. Top and bottom streets are narrow. The town is built across the side of a hill running down to the moor. This means that people with limited mobility cannot readily walk from the moor to Princess Street, so they need car parking spaces close to the shops and restaurants. Our research has shown that public parking problems get worse between about 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. There is almost no spare land, so finding new areas for car parking seems almost impossible. There are also many private car parks and delivery yards within the centre, used by dozens of businesses and residents, and access to these must be maintained. In addition, Knutsford hosts large community events, such as May Day and the Makers' Markets, which bring a lot of visitors, increasing the parking problems and traffic congestion. So, what are we proposing? In a nutshell: 1. To limit through traffic by changing the one-way streets so that it is difficult to use top and bottom streets as shortcuts through town. 2. To encourage better use of existing parking spaces and encourage the redevelopment of 2 Cheshire East car parks as attractive multi-storey parks combined with offices and apartments. 3. To reduce the number of parking bays on King and Princess Streets, but keep bays for the disabled and enforce the double yellow lines. Here are some details of how these might be done. First, discouraging through traffic. The idea is to block a short length of Princess Street near Waitrose and Oxfam, and also a short length of King Street near the NatWest Bank, so that it is not physically possible to drive straight through either top or bottom street. This will separate the old town centre into 3 sectors, such that it is difficult, if not impossible, to drive in through one sector and out through a different one. By and large, you will have to drive out through the same sector by which you entered. The sectors naturally impose 3 traffic circuits in the town centre by which drivers can make deliveries or reach a car park. One circuit is into King Street at the railway bridge, along to the bottom of Church Hill, where you turn right into the car park as at present, then exit southward along Moorside Road back to the railway bridge. You could still drive further along King Street to Old Market Place, though this would be pedestrian priority. However, you would then have to turn right into the small car park there, drop down to Moorside Road, and again drive back to the railway bridge to join the main road at the bottom of Adams Hill. Because turning right up Adams Hill can be quite hazardous, it would probably be necessary to build a new traffic roundabout here. The second circuit loops round the north side of town. It is likely that the traffic flow direction here would be reversed. Drivers would enter the Tatton Park end of King Street and drive up Minchell Street, and then either north along Tatton Street to Garden Road or onto the A50 via Green Street. Cars which turn left when leaving the Tatton Street car park would join the A50 at the top of Garden Road. It may be necessary to build a second new traffic roundabout here. Drivers could also get to Tatton Street by entering Canute Place as at present, but we propose to close the exit from Canute Place onto the White Bear roundabout as part of remodelling Canute Place into a pedestrian-friendly public square. As already explained, there would be no entrance into Princess Street from Canute Place, except perhaps early in the morning and late in the evening. From the bottom of Minchell Street, drivers could drop down into the Old Marketplace car park and Edgerton Square. One variation on this is for the moorside track to be built up into a carriageway so that traffic could drive one way up to Hillside Road, emerging at the Tatton Park end of King Street. The third circuit involves creating a new opening into the car park behind Waitrose from the A50 King Edward Road. Vehicles would drive along the edge of the car park to enter Princess Street at the corner of Gascoigne-Halman's building, and from there access Regent Street, the Silk Mill Street car park, the Methodist Church, and exit by Simon Boyd's. It is desirable that drivers can turn both right and left here onto the A50, so this will require some rearrangement of the traffic lights between Simon Boyd's and the police station. The short road in front of the old assembly rooms, now the Lost and Found, could be redeveloped as another pedestrian-only small public square. One detail is what to do about traffic on Church Hill. On safety grounds, we think it best to block it at the bottom. Details of the proposed new traffic flow are shown on the marked-up street plan which accompanies the report from top to bottom street. We have been mindful of the need for all businesses and town centre residents to have access to their private parking spaces and delivery yards, and of the need to minimise disruption. The second issue which the working group has deliberated is the regular shortage of public parking spaces for shoppers, diners and town centre workers. In February and March 2018, the group conducted a careful survey in which we counted the number of empty bays in all the Cheshire East car parks at different times of the day. Over that time, booths regularly had over 100 empty bays. This may be because parking there is limited to 2 hours. We have been urging the parking authorities to look again at this, since those spaces would do much to relieve the town's parking problems. It is desirable to encourage some all-day workers to park at booths, leaving the King and Tatton Street car parks for shorter stay shoppers and diners. We have not attempted to estimate the future demand for town centre parking after the 1,000 new houses are built. However, we do point out the scope to redevelop both the King Street and Tatton Street car parks into well-designed multi-storey car parks with substantial increase in the number of bays. These would be equipped with charging points for electric vehicles. In parallel with providing more parking, the Town Council will press for better rail and bus services to reduce further the carbon footprint of the town. Multi-storey parking developments will of course be costly, but there is scope to add offices and apartments to the King Street car park to create premium, attractive architecture overlooking the moor. The sales or rental income from these would offset the building costs. While these car parks are being redeveloped, the town will need replacement parking areas on the edge of town. This may mean 1 or 2 temporary park and ride schemes or a much expanded bus service. There is also opportunity to improve the appearance of King Edward Road by developing the Waitrose Princess Street car park into a 2-storey car park with apartments above. This would fit well with the proposed new road link from the A50 to Princess Street. These car park plus apartment developments, imaginatively designed to blend with Knutsford's heritage, should much improve the appearance of 2 rather scruffy parts of the town. The third challenge is to deal with too many cars parked on King and Princess Street. So many cars, vans and lorries mean that pedestrians and buggies cannot readily move along the narrow pavements or pause to window shop. They are also a hazard to people crossing the road. The shopping and sightseeing experience will be much improved when there are fewer parked vehicles. Essentially, this means reducing the number of bays, keeping the bays to the wider parts of the road, and enforcing no parking regulations at all times, even into the evening. Parking spaces lost from King and Princess Street can be made available at booths, and by revamping the spaces in Canute Place, Tatton Street and some other streets, pending development of multi-storey car parks. Our report gives numerical estimates of the net gain in parking bays. These are our proposals. Details are given in the written report from top to bottom street. These traffic and parking developments will be just the first phase of the evolving master plan towards future-proofing our town. This and future stages will need the full support of Knutsford Town Council, Cheshire East Council, and the various landowners and property developers, as well as the people of Knutsford. We hope you find that our ideas have merit and deserve wide discussion and appraisal. Now you have watched this presentation, please give your feedback to the Town Council. All people, businesses and organisations who care about Knutsford will need to pull together to ensure its long-term viability, sustainability and prosperity.